Hello, everyone. I'm home. Merry Christmas. We're getting so close. I went to the post office this morning and I had to laugh. I looked down and I had glue stick and flour all over my jeans. I have been crafting and I have been cooking, and I wanted to share some things with you. I found this little cookie cutter at the $2 bag sale and I forgot to show it to you. I thought it was a little Christmas tree, but I think it's a holly leaf, and I put it in that sleigh on my table and I really like it. Then at the $2 bag sale, I found this drawstring bag. It was like brand new. I guess it's for gifts or for, bread, anything you want to put in it. And then I jumped into my favorite antique store the other day to find a gift for a friend. And they had an aluminum Christmas tree with a light under it. And I was trying to show you guys how the colors were changing. I don't know if it'll show up in these pictures. But I went down to their basement, which is what they call the rough stuff, but I always find something down there. And as you got to the bottom of the steps, there was a table, and it said everything on this table is half off. And they had the sweetest little wrought iron piece that was beautiful. And I think it's the bottom of a lamp, probably a real old lamp. And I love the patina of it. I won't even clean it. I'll dust it off, but I'm not going to clean all the dirt because it's beautiful just the way it is. And my first thought was I have two little feather trees. One's old and a friend made me the other one, and I thought that would make a cute base for it. I looked on the bottom and I thought it said $5, but it could have said $25. I couldn't really tell, but the girl charged me $2.50, and I just love it. I can't wait to put my tree in it. And then I showed you this little stocking I made. I got a lot of mileage out of that Joseph A. Banks shirt that had a hole in the pocket that I thrifted. I ended up making a tree skirt for this tree in my dining room. I cut up little pieces and made some little stockings to hang on that tree and to give to my friend because she's putting primitive on her tree this year. And I found this image of a Santa with a brown coat, and I just kind of ripped him out and put him on and then stained around the edge, and it turned out real pretty. So we're going to some Christmas parties tonight, and I made some Christmas toffee this afternoon. This is the one some people call Christmas crack, and they use saltine crackers. Well, I used one sleeve of club crackers and put it on a 9x12 cookie sheet lined with aluminum foil. These were the crackers that were left over. It didn't hold the full sleeve, but almost all of them. And my recipe is a little different than the one I saw. I set aside a cup of chocolate chips, and this is a mixture of dark and semi-sweet and little mini ones, all kinds. And then I use a cup of pecans. Now, you can use walnuts or almonds or anything you want. Some people use the little Christmas sprinkles. 1 cup of brown sugar, 1 stick of butter. Now, this recipe calls for 2 sticks of butter, but it's entirely too much butter. It's just too rich. And I just use 1, and it turns out fine. You stir that over medium heat, real slow and steady. You got to stand there for a few minutes until it gets to boiling. Now, the recipe said to boil it for 3 minutes, but I only boiled it for 1 or 2 minutes, and then I poured it over the crackers. Once it's poured over the crackers, I had the broiler on my oven at 350, and you put it under the broiler until it's bubbly, and I just stand there and watch for it to become bubbly. And then you take it out. It only takes a minute. Then I covered with the chocolate chips. Then I shut the oven off, and I slid it back into the oven, just returned it to the warm oven, and let the chocolate chips sit under that warm oven for a few minutes, maybe a minute, just to soften them up enough. And then you spread all the chocolate across the toffee. Now, when I first saw this recipe, I thought that's going to be some soggy crackers, but it does not get soggy. It's great. Then I top it with pecans. Like I said, you can use anything you want on this part. And then I take a spoon and kind of run over with the backside of the spoon to make sure the pecans go down in the chocolate real good so they don't just fall off, because the chocolate hardens pretty quick. And then you're supposed to put it aside to cool or put it in the refrigerator. I'm impatient, so I put it in the freezer for 5 or 10 minutes. It just completely cools it down. And once it's completely cooled, you can just break it into pieces. And for a toffee tasting candy, this is such an easy recipe, and it is so good. And then I buy these tins. I get them thrifting, and I buy them at Dollar General, and the Dollar Tree has cute ones, and put it all in tins. Then I decided to make taco dip. A friend of mine called the other day, about a month ago, and he said, hey, do you remember about 25 years ago you used to make that great taco dip? Can you give me the recipe for that? And I said, hey, I'll do you one better. I'll bring it to you. So I took it to him and gave him the recipe. You take a pound of ground beef and a cup of water. And my mom always did this, even when making spaghetti sauce, because it's more like boiling the hamburger instead of frying it. And once that water is cooked down and is dissipated, you end up with just the hamburger made perfect. At this point, you can add a package of taco seasoning. Now, I didn't tonight because we were going to a party and I didn't want it to be too spicy because you put sauce in it as well. But you can add a packet of this. Then I chop up a small onion and I use a little can of green chilies. I use the mild green chilies and it's the little 4-ounce can, and add that. Once you add that, then you add a can of refried beans. Now, when I was at the Meijer store one day, I was buying old El Paso beans, which are the ones I always buy. And this lady said to me, hey, have you ever tried the Meijer beans? She said they're cheaper and they're really, really good. So I tried them and they were just as good and they are much cheaper. And you can get them in the fat-free and they don't taste any different. They're all good. So you mix in the refried beans. I kind of smash them with the hamburger into the beans with a fork. And then you add a cup of shredded cheese, any kind you want. And once that's melted, you add your taco sauce. Now, I didn't give you an amount because everybody likes their spice different. We use this Ortega, I believe it's called. Yeah, Ortega medium taco sauce. And I used about a cup. But you can do whatever brand and whatever spiciness you want on that. And then I put it in a shallow pan so that you can dip it easily and cover it with cheese, pop it under the broiler and let that melt. I usually chop up some tomatoes and onions and lettuce around the edge, but I didn't have any lettuce and tomatoes, and I put a big dollop of sour cream in the middle, so in case no one likes sour cream, they can go around it. And then I made the gift basket for my friend whose other party I was going to. I had this basket I had thrifted, and it's black, and she has a primitive kitchen that's all black, and it's beautiful. And I showed you this last week. I found this big curtain that is primitive looking, and I used that to line the bottom of the basket. And then I put a tin of the Christmas candy in it, the toffee. And once I got that in there to kind of weight down the blanket or the cloth, I had made her some primitive ornaments for her tree because she's doing all prim on her tree. And I had the big red stocking that I made her the other day and all the little stockings and some other things. Then I found these boxes at Dollar Tree, and for $1.25, these are really nice boxes. They're not the thin boxes, they're heavy. Now, I had already wrapped this when I got ready to show you guys. What it is a wooden kraut cutter, and she collects these. This is one similar I saw on eBay. But my nephew was with me, and he said, I don't think I'd buy her that. I think I'd buy her this pretty angel. But she likes these things, and he didn't understand that. So I tucked it behind the Christmas box. And then I had bought her a bottle of wine, and I tucked that in. And then I found her this antique. I showed this to you the other day, the little old, it's in bad shape, white corkscrew. And she'll like that. And then a grater, because she collects graters. I tucked that into the back. This little Merry Christmas sign that I thought looked kind of primitive, she might like in her kitchen or somewhere in her house. And some little ornaments. And then I laid the stocking across the front of the basket, and it looked really pretty, but it kind of needed something else. So I added the tag that said Merry Christmas on it. And then I had purchased several of these little miniature poinsettias, and I had a small crock. So I put that in the front of the basket, and that really made the basket perfect. And it looked really pretty. I just don't like to wrap gifts when I do something like this. So I loaded up my Christmas candy and my taco dip, and we went partying. I put on my soft red cable knit sweater that I thrifted recently, and it felt so good. And then I put on my little Santa pendant that I thrifted many years ago and that I just love. I wear him every Christmas. And we went off to the parties, and we had a really good time. And everybody liked their gifts, and we had a lot of good food and a lot of good fun with our friends. Now, I'm going to share with you some miniature Christmas stores and cabins just because I have some new followers, and I had a follower tell me today she's new to my channel and she does miniatures. And she said, I wish there was a way I could show you pictures of my miniatures. So I want to encourage you, if you are new and you want to share something with me, go to Instagram and give me a private message, and we can even share email addresses, and you can send me pictures. I think you can send pictures on Instagram, and we can share our ideas, because miniatures is a hole you can go down. I mean, it's like I can talk about miniatures all day long. So if you want to do that, please go on there. And then I have another big surprise coming up. My friend that I gave the basket to, she just moved into a new house, and she's decorated all prim, and I took some pictures, and I'm going to give you a tour of her house this weekend. And then I have something else coming up, a little Christmas surprise you guys have been waiting for a long time. You might know what it is. It's a long-awaited thing I've been talking about. I'm going to give you just one mini little hint right here, and that's all I can give you. Just a couple little pictures to give you a hint of what's coming up. You guys are going to love it. I'm loving it, and I can't wait to show it to you. So please join me at Marcy Joe 631 on Instagram, and I'll tell you what's coming up. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. You know how much I love you guys for tuning in, and I want to thank my viewers that sent me Christmas cards. I was so tickled when I got those, and they just warmed my heart to think you would send me a Christmas card. It was wonderful. So if you like my content, please share it with your friends, and please come back. You know I love you from the bottom of my heart, and I can't wait to see you.